Now, we may be stepping into the Thunderdome era, but you don't have to stay there. Become the big dog and step into your Bluechew era. Bluechew is the chewable tablet that helps you have better sex. Make sure to check out the link in the description box below for more information. All right, so let's get to it. SummerSlam 2020. So, of course, guys, we are in the Thunderdome era, and we have been having a string of very long SummerSlams. Like, we're talking over 3.5 hours, close to 4 hours, some being 4 hours long. However, because of the pandemic and everything going on, this was definitely a shorter SummerSlam, which I was kind of glad. But then when I realized it, when I actually watched it, I felt like there was even less than I actually remember happening at the show. So it felt even shorter than that. So this will probably be one of our briefest videos because of how like compact the show was. So let's get right to it. All right, so I want to kick things off with Mandy Rose defeating Sonya Deville in a Loser Leaves WWE match. So the first thing that I already remembered about this was, first of all, poor Mandy Rose struggling to set up the tables. For whatever reason, that was like the thing that stuck out to me the most in this match. But what I do want to say, and honest, I really do think that Mandy Rose did freaking kill it in this match with Sonya. I thought that they both did a good job, regardless of what you saw with the table spots. I did think that they did a really good job here. And the story, I think people were interested in the story because, of course, you had the whole bit with Mandy Rose and Otis, and people really liked that because it was like, you know, super random to see a woman like Mandy with Otis. And so it was just funny, right? But Sonya Deville essentially hated that. And then this turned into like them falling apart as friends. And so they're beefing. Sonya basically tells Mandy that she is just getting by on her looks, that she isn't any good. And so we get this Loser Leaves WWE match. Now, here's the thing, though, is that during this time, unfortunately, Sonya Deville had been a part of a home invasion, or like this man essentially tried to kidnap her. Worse than a home invasion, he tried not only to invade her home but also tried to kidnap her. And so she was taking him to court, and so it's during this time that she took some time away from WWE following that and the traumatic events that unfolded with that. So thankfully Sonya came back and everything was all good, but it's still such a traumatic event. But there you go, though. This was a really fun match, and I did think that they did a hell of a job here. And this was also one of Mandy's like last really big feuds on the main roster, because after that she went to NXT, and then over on NXT she was part of Toxic Attraction, and then, well, we all know how things ended there for Mandy, but that was basically what ended up happening for her in the next couple of years. And then Sonya was gone for a while. She came back. Unfortunately, she got hurt and then was gone again, and now she's back again. So really, we haven't been seeing too much of Sonya since 2020. It's sort of been like on and off. All right, and this next highlight that I want to get into is actually one that I remember very well, which is so weird, the things you remember really well and the things you feel like you forgot ever happened. But with this one here, I feel like I remember so much of this storyline, and it was Dominik Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. So first of all, during this time, Seth Rollins was doing the Messiah gimmick, and Dominic was so young, so inexperienced, and he was still, daddy's little boy. And this was his first SummerSlam match, and this was following this whole feud that Seth Rollins had been having with Rey Mysterio, where they did that eye for an eye match at the Extreme Rules House of Horrors. That's what it was. I mean, that was super random, but it was what it was, and it led to all of this. But there was also a really great attack where Seth Rollins literally beat the crap out of Dominik Mysterio with a kendo stick, and I feel like that was Dominik Mysterio sort of getting like his wrestling baptism or something, because dude turned freaking red and had like all of these horrible marks on his body after that attack from Seth Rollins. But anyways, we get this actual matchup here, and Dominic's dad, Ray, was obviously basically, told by Dominic that he didn't want him to get involved. Eventually, he kind of does, as well as his mom. But for the most part, like, we get a very relatively simple match because, again, Dominic was so unexperienced here, and this was sort of in the phase where he really wasn't that good. And and I'm not even gonna say like he's great now, but there's definitely been a massive improvement in both his personality and in ring as well. But Seth does get the victory here. So unfortunately, Dom is not able to, at this moment, get retaliation for his father. And I mean, this whole storyline continues and then eventually morphs into Dominic turning on his dad down the road. So it's a whole lot. We really haven't seen a whole lot of Dominic and Rey Mysterio. And let's not forget that Dom and Rey were also tag team champions, the first father and son tag team champions. And the next match that I want to go ahead and dive into here is this match between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Drew defeating Randy for the WWE Championship. So things to note here is, unfortunately, Drew McIntyre was the COVID era champion, which was something that we've talked about for several times, right? Because it was sort of unfortunate that he got like this really massive moment and then it all came to a halt with the pandemic, and he basically had to carry the company as champion in this era. So that was very, unfortunate. But hey, man, he did his very freaking best. And I think that he did the best he possibly could in this type of situation here. But there was some really cool moments heading into this feud itself where I love Drew telling Randy that he should have been fired multiple times for his behavior. And then Randy Orton firing back and telling him he was more valuable than Drew will ever be. And Drew basically thought that he was a selfish prick. But Randy, I completely forgot that during this feud, he had taken out Ric Flair. Like, I had forgotten that whole part of it. But anyways, we do see this match. It was a solid match. It wasn't anything too spectacular, but Drew does get his victory with a backslide and retains the WWE Championship. Now, these next two matches are sort of going to collide because Asuka had to work and pull double duty. So Asuka wrestled two matches. The first one that she did was Bayley versus Asuka, where Bayley defeated her for the SmackDown Women's Championship. They freaking killed it. It was an awesome match, and literally Sasha attacks her right after because she knows she's going to have the following match with her later on the show. And then, yeah, literally Asuka only had, let me see, three matches in between her having to return and then do this match with freaking Sasha Banks. And here we go. And so she finally gets into this match with freaking Sasha. And unfortunately, thanks to Bayley, kind of screws Sasha in this matchup and Asuka gets the victory. And the whole thing here is like really the bigger picture was that they were working towards the turn, towards the downfall of Bayley and Sasha as friends. And I mean, when you talk about people that did so much during the pandemic, I mentioned Drew McIntyre, but you also definitely need to mention Bayley and Sasha because they did so much as tag team champions, as enemies. I mean, there's so much of my pandemic television WWE memories surrounded with Sasha and Bayley here. But also shout out to freaking Asuka, who did win the Raw Women's Championship here, and she wrestled essentially for a total of like 23 minutes, I think, combined with both matches, because both matches were, let me see, her match with Bayley was 11 minutes and 35 seconds, and then her match with Asuka was, her match with Sasha was 11 and 25 minutes. So she definitely went out there and she busted her butt, and she was truly good in both matches here. The last highlight that I want to get into here is the Fiend Bray Wyatt defeating Braun Strowman in a false count anywhere match for the WWE Universal Championship. I love that this got off to a hot start. They fight in the back. They fight in the ring. We see Braun expose the wood inside the ring, but Bray ends up hitting the sister Abigail on Braun twice on the wood. And so that is how Bray ends up winning the championship. But the big thing to talk about here is that we were about to embark into the 4-year era of the tribal chief here. So basically, Roman Reigns had been gone because, as you guys know, due to his leukemia, he could not be on television because of the pandemic and COVID and all of that. It was just unsafe for him to have to be around so many people. So he had been gone for a while. And so Roman ends up coming out during this match, and after the match, he attacks both Bray and Braun Strowman. And so this is eventually like him, like he's basically like a heel now. And we later on for Payback the following month, that's when we get the match between all three guys, and that's when we see the start of Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns' 4-year reign as champ. So yeah, guys, this is taking us way back to the very beginning of when things started to turn around for Roman Reigns. So there you go, everybody. That was the highlights of SummerSlam 2020. Of course, a more compact show, therefore a shorter video here today. But let's go ahead and get into these ratings. Best match, I have to give it to Bayley and Asuka. It was just so competitive and so fun to see. MVP, I also have to give it to Asuka for going out there and wrestling two awesome matches and also winning the Raw Women's Championship. Now it's time for the rating, which I think might surprise you guys a little bit, but I'm going to give it a 10 out of 13. And the reason why I'm rating it this high is primarily because I really did think that even though there was just a little bit on the show, everything had its purpose and everything moved so many stories along. And we did get the really awesome two Asuka matches. Even the tag team match with the Profits and Angel and Andrade was not bad at all. Just everything that they did. And of course, having Roman Reigns come out at the end of the show, the Drew Randy match, I felt like this show was definitely okay. I felt like the show definitely was solid given what they were working with, which was no crowd and a worldwide global pandemic. So be a little extra nice here for sure. Alrighty, everybody. So that is it for SummerSlam 2020. We are almost there, everybody. Almost a wrap. We have been on this journey since 1988, been watching all of these SummerSlams. So thank you so much to everybody who has tuned in to watch these reviews. And I hope that some of these have maybe encouraged you guys to go and check out some past moments or matches or things like that. Or maybe just reminded you of a couple of things. Or hell, if you're a new WWE fan, maybe you learned a little bit of history from watching some of the earlier episodes. Regardless, let me know in the comments section below. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I will be back for the last remaining episodes of SummerSlam. We're almost there. I'm so excited. Can you tell? Can you tell? I was like, these have taken up my entire life, guys. I cannot wait for August to not have this responsibility anymore. All righty, everyone. Thank you guys so much. As always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.